Hello students, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to learn about object-oriented programming. But before starting object-oriented programming, let us see what were the different types of programming language. So various programming paradigm, which is programming approaches. A programming paradigm defines the methodology of defining and implementing programs using the key feature and building blocks of a programming language. So this defines its designing and implementation using its key feature to create a program. They are procedural programming, second is object-based programming, and third is object-oriented programming. So before learning object-oriented programming, we shall study about procedural programming and object-based programming. Now let us see what is procedural programming. Procedural programming separates the function and the data manipulated by them. This means that it emphasizes more on procedure than that of data. This leads to many problems. First one is procedural programming is susceptible to design changes. This means that whenever the definition of the type changes, the function referring to this type must also be changed to reflect that change. This will lead to a problem as modification would be needed for each and every function where it is used. The next one is procedural programming leads to increased time and cost overheads during design changes. So this means that whenever the modification of the code is done, this leads to increase in time and cost overhead at each and every time. To overcome the limitation, the second paradigm was been created, which is object-based programming. In this, object-based programming is that implements some feature of object-oriented programming but not the all, which means that object-based programming is a subset of object-oriented programming. In this, data and its associated meaningful functions are enclosed in a single entity called a class. In other words, users of a class are allowed to access its interface, but they are not or they cannot access its implementation details. Some of the features of object-based programming are: object-based programming localize the implementation details. This means whenever there is any change in the definition of type, user interface remains unaffected generally. The next one is object-based programming is a subset of object-oriented programming, which means that it includes some features of object-oriented programming such as information hiding, abstraction, classes, function overloading, etc. But it does not implement interface, and thereby polymorphism cannot be implemented in object-based programming. Some of the advantage of object-based programming are: first one, it overcomes most shortcomings of procedural programming. Second one, it localizes changes and hide implementation details from user. Third one, it supports user-defined types. The fourth one is it implements information hiding and abstraction. However, object-based programming has one major limitation, and that is its inability to represent real-world relations that exist amongst objects. For example, both car and truck are vehicles. This cannot be represented as an object-based programming as it does not support inheritance. Looking to the limitations of above two programming, here comes in the picture the object-oriented programming. What is object-oriented programming? Object-oriented programming is a programming language model organized around object rather than action and data rather than logic. The object-oriented approach views a problem in terms of object involved rather than procedure for doing it. So this basically means that object-oriented programming uses the concept of object and class to model the real-world entity. Here, objects can be anything, and based on the class, the objects are being created. So you can consider class as a blueprint. So it is a programming style which is associated with the concepts of class and object and various other concepts like inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, encapsulation, and many more. Let us see a hierarchy. First is class, object, abstraction, encapsulation, modularity, inheritance, and polymorphism. Now we will see each of them one by one. First is class. A class is a blueprint for any functional entity which defines its properties and its functionalities. It has logical entity. We can also say it as master copy for which any objects can be created. So we can say that a class is a group of objects that share common properties and relationship. Let us see a small example. Using a real life example, we will see that here we have a blueprint of a car. This will include properties such as wheel, engine, seats and steerings. And its functionality are starting of car, average of a car and weight capacity. So this is called a class of an car. You can consider this blueprint as a class of a car. All the cars would have this many properties and this many functionalities. Next concept is object. What are objects? Objects are a logical and physical entity. Object is a real world entity and it is an instance of a class. So we can say object is an identifiable entity with some characteristics and behavior in it. Let us see a real world example. Here we will have a blueprint of a car which is called a class of a car. Using this blueprint we can create any number of cars. Here I have taken two cars which is Rolls-Royce and Lamborghini. So using this blueprint these two cars are being created, means using its properties and functionality. Properties are it will have a wheel, steering, then it is having an engine and all those are called its properties. Then functionality is it will run, then its average and the sitting capacity. So all these two are called an object. This is called a blueprint which is a class. So class and its objects. Let us see the other concepts of object oriented programming. In that first one is encapsulation. What is encapsulation? The wrapping up of data and operations or functions into a single unit is known as encapsulation, or we can say it binds the data function together and keeps safe from outer interface from being misused. So it hides the data. How? Let us see a real world example. In a car, while driving it, we cannot see the inner wirings or engine part which are fixed in the bonnet area, as it is covered with metal plates, or we can say a front hood, to make it safe from being misused or mishandled. This thing is called an encapsulation. Now let us see the next part of this object oriented programming, which is data abstraction or data hiding. What is data abstraction? Data abstraction is the process of hiding the implementation complexity, or data abstraction refers to the act of representing essential features without including the background details or explanation. This means that using abstraction we can only explore the necessary members of the class. Looking to the real world example, now here we are hiding how the engine of the car works internally, which means we are not providing any internal information, only the necessary data are shown to the user and rest are hidden. So only we can start the engine of the car with the keys without knowing how engine works internally. This is called an data abstraction. Where we are unaware about the internal functionalities of an object, only we can use that object and rest work is done by itself. This is called an abstraction. Now let us look to the another concept, which is inheritance. Inheritance has the capability of deriving data or properties from one class to the another class. Means that there is a child and a parent relation being created over where one object acquires all the properties and behavior of the parent object. Now for the example, we have a car model which is the older version. This is Rolls-Royce older version car. Now we are deriving the features of old car and creating the new version of the car. So it gets all the properties and function of the old car, which is machine, wheel, then starting of car. So properties and functionalities of the older version car is been installed or derived in the newer version car of Rolls-Royce. So this is called an inheritance. Only the outer look is being changed, rest would be the same. So this part is called an inheritance, where the parent class, which is this, we consider this as a parent one, this is the child one. So child is inheriting all the properties of parent class and it is then implementing its own functionalities also. This feature is called an inheritance. Now the next is polymorphism. What is polymorphism? Let us first divide the word into two halves. Poly means many and morphism means form. So polymorphism is a Greek word which is divided into two halves and it means many forms. Polymorphism is the ability of an object to take many forms. Parent class is used to refer the child class object. The ability to process object differently depending on the data type or a class. So this is called an polymorphism. So in short, polymorphism is the ability for the message or the data to be processed in more than one forms. We can say that polymorphism is the property by which the same message can be sent to the objects of several different classes and each object will respond in the different way depending on its class. There are two types of polymorphism, but before seeing that, let us see a small example to make it clear what is polymorphism. Now here in this example, shape is the parent class which is having area as its function. It is been inherited in three different classes, which is circle, triangle and rectangle, with its own parameters. Your area is having circle, your triangle with a triangle parameter and rectangle with the rectangle. So it individually performs its own activity and will return it to the parent class, or the function which is been called from the parent class to the child class is doing its own functionality. So this is an example called polymorphism. Now let us look to the types of polymorphism. In that, first one is compile time polymorphism, or you can say method overloading. It allows the user to have more than one function with the same name in the inner class, but their argument lists are different. This means that in a class you can have multiple functions with the same name. Suppose you are writing shape as a function name, you can use many shapes in one class, but its argument should be different. It should have no argument or 1, 2 arguments, or you can use different data types within that function argument. Whatever you write inside a round bracket is called an argument. So those should differ from each other. Name you can keep same, but the arguments should be different. That is called an method overloading. Now the second one is runtime polymorphism or method overriding. It is also called the dynamic method dispatch. It calls the reference variable of the superclass. The determination of which method is called is based on the object of the reference variable. So in the class, now if you have two same named class and you have inherited it, then while calling that function or method, you have to specify of which class you want to get that method. Otherwise it will give you the child class function or method. So that is called an method overriding. Now let us look to the next topic, and that is modularity. Modularity is the property of the system that has been decomposed into the set of cohesive and loosely coupled models. In this, we divide the whole program into some procedure and it can be manipulated. So next is the act of partitioning a program into individual component or components is called a modularity. It reduces complexity. It is implemented through packages. For example, in a music system there are two speakers connected to the woofer. If any one of the speaker is not operating, then it can be easily identified and the error can be solved. So there is no need to open up the whole process or the whole music system. For example, in a music system there are two speakers connected to the woofer. If any one of the speaker is not operating well, then we can easily identify the error and solve it. So what happens that there is no need to open up the whole system of the speaker. We just have to identify which one of the speaker is not working correctly and then we can process on it. So that is why modularity is important for the programming. This is an example of real life. You have to connect it to the computer programs. So let us see the advantage and disadvantage of OOPS, which is object oriented programming. First is reusing of code. Using the functionality of encapsulation, it allows us to define and reuse in other applications. Means the code in the other application. Of comprehension. So this object oriented programming is more near to the real world models, so it is easier to create compared to other models. Next one is ease of fabrication and maintenance. This means that if an object is not allowed in some or one of the class, then there is no need to investigate the whole program. Only that class is to be checked why the permission or what type of permission are been given to that class. It's easy to maintain. And the last one is easy redesigning and extension. Concept remains the same for each and every process, so it is easy to redesign. Now there are some disadvantages of OOPS concept. First one is it requires more data protection, as we could create more heavier programs, so it will require more protection. Then the next is large program size, so due to all this functionality it will become a large size. Third one is design is tricky, so little bit tricky design is there. and the last one is proper planning and designing is needed. So if it is not properly done, it would become a mess, or you will not be able to find your class where you want to redirect your object to. Now let us look to the few hidden concepts of object oriented programming. First one is data hiding. What is data hiding? A class groups its member into three sections: private, protected and public. The private and protected member remains hidden from the outer world. Thus, class enforces data hiding. So, when we hide the data using private and protected, that is called data hiding. The next concept is abstract class. It is not an abstraction, it is an abstract class. It is the one which defines an interface but does not necessarily provide implementation for all its member class. It means to be used as a base class for which other class can be derived. And the last concept is concrete class. A derived class that implements all the missing functionalities is called a concrete class. A concrete class derives from its abstract class. So now here I end my session. We understood about the object oriented programming in this chapter and its concept. And our lesson number 2 gets over here. From the next session we'll start with lesson number 3, which is function overloading. Humble request to all, please do subscribe my channel and like my video if you liked it. Also do comment and share my video with others. Thank you for watching. Please stay tuned to get the new updates. Thank you.